Too cute.
Welcome to AWS On Air.
I told you I'm excited about this.
We want to help you see the things that are new and launching.
We are throwing you into the deep end.
Day 10. Let's do it.
Hello. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. It's Friday, which means it's the best day of the week because you're here joining us on AWS On Air. My name is Fiona McCann. I'm a solutions architect at AWS. I work with nonprofit organizations. I specialize in responsible AI. And I have the pleasure of working with my most favorite colleague, who is Todd. Todd, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself as well?
Thanks, Fiona. What a really gracious intro. I am
Of course.
I'm Todd Fortier. I'm a senior solutions architect here at AWS. And what that means is I get to help develop things called AWS solutions for something called the AWS Solutions Library. And I'm really excited for today's show because we're going to feature one of those solutions. And I've got some of my colleagues. So this is going to be a really fun episode. But Fiona, I've heard that today we are live for the first time on Dev Community, which is pretty cool.
Dev Community. Hello, Dev Community. How are you all doing today? We've got the chat pulled up aside as we are live. It's true. We're right here live with you. And I don't know about you, Todd, but my favorite thing about the show is getting to see what you're all thinking and wondering as we're going through the show. So please let us know in the comments right now, where are you watching from and what are you hoping to see today?
That's right. I've got it pulled up over here, the comments. I'm going to be looking. So if you see me looking over here, I'm just trying to read. I really want to know what you have to think and what you have to say about this show. So today we're talking. Wait, Fiona, before we get into what we're
definitely
talking
today,
we're going to talk. That's what we're here for.
We're talking for sure.
Some of you out there may be wondering, what is AWS On Air and why is it different than any of the other streams that you might find on Twitch or Dev Community or
well, first of all, it's better.
It is cooler.
We're just really awesome. AWS.
Yeah, and it's motivated me to deck out this closet with a bunch of soundproofing. So that's like just to justify the purchasing that I've made just from being a host on the show. No,
but it totally makes sense. But we have someone already in the chat who's let us know that Rachel Sino is joining us from Chicago. Go Cubs. And Rachel, you are here. Have you been here before with us on AWS On Air? Like Todd was saying, this is a launch show. We're going to be talking about what's new and exciting at AWS. We bring in team members who worked on some really exciting new projects and features and solutions. And we may even be bringing in the elusive and greatest of all time, Jeff Barr, to come in and talk some news with us. I'm pretty excited about that. How about you, Todd?
That's right. Well, it's always a pleasure to have Jeff on the show, and he's not always here. So this is a golden opportunity to ask one of the legends of AWS your questions. So take advantage of that. But I think we are just about ready for our first segment. Should we go ahead and bring our guests on?
I think we got to do it. I also want to call out, Rachel says that this is their first time joining us on AWS On Air. Thank you so much for being here. We also have someone from Kentucky. So join us as we bring in our first guest.
Hey, welcome to the show, Sri and Justin. I'm very excited to have you here, mostly because I work with Sri every day. A little secret, I work with Sri. So we are teammates and we've worked on things together. So I'm very excited to have her on this show and talking about it. But first, before we get into what we're talking about, maybe let's start with some introductions. Sri, let's start with you. Maybe tell us, what do you do at AWS? Secret, she kind of does what I do, but go ahead.
Yeah, that's most of the work we both do together. Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Sridevi Velagala. I'm working as a solution architect in AWS Solutions Library team. My focus is to work on building guidances and solutions in AML domain. So today I'm here to present one of the coolest guidance solution, which we have built recently and published, guidance for multi-agent orchestration. And thanks for having me here.
Yeah, thanks for coming. All right, Justin, it's got a lot of pressure. You got to follow that.
I know. Yeah.
What do you do at AWS, and why are you here?
Right. First and foremost, hey everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening where you're at. My name is Justin. I am a Gen AI lab builder. We call a specialist. So I build a lot of nice prototypes and demos for our customers whenever we come out with new shiny toys.
I love it. So you both are here because you build solutions. It sounds like they're Gen AI solutions specifically. We have some people in the chat who are saying they're looking forward to hearing about AI chatbots. Currents from South Florida, hello. And we also have another person saying, what is the topic today? So you've mentioned that you're here because you build solutions. Typically, when there's solutions, there's a problem that you're solving first. So tell us, what is the customer problem that you are looking to address?
Okay, I can actually go first. So before we just kickstart, I just wanted to know today's segment is on agentic AI. So I just want to take a minute to explain the spectrum of agentic AI. At first, it all started with a basic simple chatbot, simple assistant. Behind chatbot, we have an LLM, which actually, based on the trained data, it provides an answer. And then we have deterministic agents. It can perform multiple step tasks, but it's based on a predetermined flow. If the task is not part of the predetermined flow, it will not be able to do that. It needs to escalate it to a human agent. And from there on, in the evaluation, we have autonomous agents, where agents is mimicking human actions basically. So based on the RAG knowledge bases it has, it can actually search and reason the content, and also it can connect to other tools and data sources internally and externally to perform a specific task. So agents are actually here mimicking human actions. That is well and good. But do you think a single agent will be able to perform all the actions?
Probably
Like our
not.
also, yeah, exactly. Like our humans also, we are not experts in all the areas. So that's where actually we need to have multi-agents, multiple
Okay.
agents. So each agent is specialized in a specific area. In today's discussion, we'll be talking about customer support assistant use case. So where order management is a specialized agent, it can perform, and product recommendation, troubleshooting, etc. So those specialized sub-agents will perform the task and provides the information back. But the question here is, how do these agents communicate with each other? If there are hundreds of agents, they need to communicate with each other. For that, we need to have multi-agent orchestration. So that is our solution today, multi-agent orchestration. So we are using different patterns like agents as tools, which is a supervisory agent and sub-agents, or maybe Swarm, Graph, or maybe latest A2A also.
Yeah, I love that background information that really kind of sets up
Yeah, I like that.
where we were, and it's all happening so fast, right? Like this was not like years ago we were doing this. It's like a little bit ago we were just doing this simple thing, and now we have these agents who can reason. I like to consider myself a human agent, not quite fully autonomous yet, but maybe someday, maybe someday.
And it's all
so
part
what?
of the journey too. And I like how you laid it out as this roadmap. It's like a slinky falling down the stairs. You know, first we had just like the chatbot, and that's going to the first step, and then the slinky goes down to the next step, and it's the chatbot can take some action, and then after it can take some action, we're finally getting to these agents that are specialized and working together.
Exactly.
What's my human agent name? Oh, I can't wait to hear the comments here. So Sri, why is this challenging? Why is this hard for customers to do this orchestration or have these agents talk to each other?
Yeah. So basically, in today's rapidly evolving agentic AI world, we have multiple frameworks. So even I can quickly show you my screen where I can show you the guidance solution. So this is our guidance solutions landing page. You can actually access aws.amazon.com/solutions. And this is the landing page. You can see here we have architectures and GitHub repos. One thing I want to highlight is it's a single click deployment and also a production ready code, and the architecture is aligned to well architected principles. So as you can see in this guidance, we have 3 different frameworks published. So I will quickly show you 3 different frameworks and when to use which framework. So the first one is a multi-agent collaboration feature. This is basically using Amazon Bedrock multi-agent collaboration feature. It's a managed service. If you are new to building AI agents and you don't want to focus on the infrastructure, you want to focus only on your agent logic, this is a good start and you can actually use this framework. Quickly, I want to show you the architecture. I know this is actually having too many services, but don't overwhelmed with these services. As I mentioned, it's a single click deployment. Once you do that, everything, all the resources gets deployed into your account.
I think
Yes, sir.
what
I think
we're
that's a.
taking. So go
I was
for
gonna
it,
say
Todd.
this is I think this is a really cool thing. This is a really important point. So what you're seeing is an architecture diagram. It's got a lot of different services, and what the work that Sri and I do is we help figure out how these services should talk to each other. And when she says single click deploy, that means if you have an AWS account, you run a script. This is live in your AWS account, and then
Boom.
you can go deeper in how this works and see how the data flows and how users interact with it, how agents interact. But that's a lot of work that you don't have to do, and I think that's a really cool aspect of the solutions library. Okay, that's all I was going to say. Go ahead, Fiona. That's my sales pitch for the day. I'm done.
You said what I was going to say.
Exactly, Todd and Fiona. So here I just want to highlight we are having a supervisory agent pattern and then sub-agents. You can see each specialized sub-agents. They will perform their specific task, provides the information back to the supervisor agent, which in turn provides it back to the user. So the second pattern framework I want to show you is Agent Squad. This is if you need more customization and flexibility for your agents building and deployment, then this is the framework you can choose. This is also having same, you can see a supervisor agent pattern. So where we are using a Bedrock Converse API, and you can also include human agent. I think we are still waiting for Todd's human agent name.
Oh, good call, Sri. Way to bring that back.
Yeah,
I haven't seen
let's bring that
anything
back up
yet,
again.
but I'm
Yeah.
still a little nervous.
Okay,
Pattern
the
3.
next one is the land graph framework. So which is a popular open source framework. We have used this. And then this one, we have deployed it in Amazon ECS container. And also here we are using the supervisor agent pattern. So it's all single click deployment, production ready code, and well architected, aligned.
Okay, very cool. So I understand that we're going to demo this in just a second, but before we get to the demo, where do customers actually find that code? You said that they have single click code. Where's that code live?
So it's in GitHub repositories. It's publicly available. We can share those GitHub links via chat. And also you can actually check here in this landing page itself. If you can scroll down, deploy with confidence, you can actually you can see the GitHub repositories here, the sample code.
Okay, very
Awesome.
cool. All right, so now, what does this look like, Justin? I think this is where you come. We're gonna bring you in, man. All right,
Tossing the ball to you.
Yes, this is my
different
cue.
agents. They're orchestrating. They're
Yes.
dancing. They're getting
Oh yeah,
familiar. What's
they're
going
doing a lot
on?
of things. Yeah.
All
So,
right.
just to start, this is just a React framework front end, where on the back end we are using that multi-agent collaborator that my colleague was talking about. But again, this is a customer support use case, and the idea behind it is I feed it a input, I feed it a query. For example, let's say I like good quality Nova phones. Provide me a product suggestion followed up with comments people say about it. And then ideally you'll be logged in, right? So you'll be like a specific customer. And then what'll happen is when I ask that question, that's going to get fed into the main supervisor agent, and that supervisor agent will then break it up, and then delegate tasks down to the sub agents so that they can then go out to their data sources, get the information they need, bring that all back up to the supervisor agent, and it makes sense of it and then gives a synthetic response back to the end user. As you can see here, it says based on preferences, I recommend the Nova 5G smartphone, a high quality phone with a 5G enabled feature, a price of $800, a rating of 4.7, etc. Right? But what's really unique about this is you can actually see the tracing or the reasoning under the hood. So if I look at the supervisor agent, for example, Nova Pro is just one of our LLM models that I prefer to use on this app. You'll see that we have a rationale tab. So if we look in this, it'll say, hey, the user is asking for a product suggestion for a good quality Nova phone and comments from people about it. So you'll see that it actually created tasks for itself to say, hey, first I need to use the product recommendation agent to get product suggestions. And then I also need to use the personalization agent to get comments from people. And then you can see that's followed up with a couple of different tasks where it goes then and invokes the two agents and then comes with the answer.
I love that. So there's
Yeah.
one agent that knows about products. It can give good recommendations. There's another agent that has access to user information and can find something specific to this customer who's asking. But
Correct.
before the
Yes.
request can be fed to those two, you have the supervisor agent at the top whose job is to know what each of these different agents can do, and it takes in that request and it's routing it to the right agent.
Perfect. Yes. Yes. And all of the agents have a set system prompt or an instruction. So when it gets that query, it already knows how to handle it, how to handle that and pass off the payload and then get the magical answer.
I love it.
So they're like building blocks.
Like building like Lego blocks. That's perfect.
Yeah, Justin Svergi. So you're saying this is using Bedrock agent collaboration. That's a feature of Bedrock, right?
Correct. Yes, that is a feature of Bedrock. But what AWS loves to do is we like to give our customers options, right? So even though this is a more managed service, we also have other features out there or other tools that we give our customers so that they can build agents where developers have more flexibility over their agentic framework workflow.
Yeah, Justin, I've been hearing a lot about this thing called Agent Core. I know it was launched
Yes,
very
yes,
recently this year. So, and maybe
yes.
explain what Agent Core is and how does that kind of fit into this sort of whole agentic AI collaboration thing?
Yeah, so high level without trying to confuse anyone. Agent Core, you can look at that as a wrapper around your actual your agentic framework that you use. So, for example, if you are a land graph shop or a Llama Index shop, or you build out agents using strands that is AWS native, you can then wrap that with Agent Core
Mm,
runtime, give it a out of box endpoint. You also have a out of box observability so that you don't have to go and build that observability component into your agents. All the way down to leveraging services like our Agent Core Identity, where you can securely access, let's say, an MCP server using the built-in native feature that we
yeah.
have as MCP clients.
I
Um,
like that. So you're talking about Agent Core. It's this feature set that goes along with Bedrock that helps you when you're building these different agents. They each have different tasks, different roles. It helps you in managing them all and keeping track of everything and making sure it's all scalable. We have a comment in the
yes.
chat. CJ the Pizza Man says, "I just stumbled upon the stream. I'm a CS manager at a fantasy sports company. Question: If these agents are AI, why do you have to split the roles up?" So the question is, we get that that you have this service to help us manage all these different agents, but why do we need multiple different agents?
Yeah, yeah. So you can, I think we alluded to this a little earlier. You can have that one person that can wear 10 different hats, but they may more or less be a jack of all trades. So you might not get that 100% you're looking for from each of your workers, right? Whereas when you split them up, if you have 10 workers, everyone specialized in that specific task, it's easier for them to do that job. So it's no different when you see an agent versus like one agent that you give it, 20 different things to do. Well, you run the risk of it not being as accurate or it might not being
Mm,
as performant. Whereas if you split the task up into 10 different agents, delegate specific tasks, give it specific tools, give it a specific instruction, then you increase the likelihood of you getting a reasonable response back. So that's
right.
basically
So what you're saying is like sometimes there might be a request that's like a 5-part request, and someone asks a question, and really that question has like 5 different things that they want, and
Yeah.
each of them maybe
yeah,
needs access. Like this one needs access to this database, and this one needs access to customer information, and they all require something different. So rather than having one agent that has access to all of this and maybe is not going to interact with them perfectly, you have one agent for each of those request domains.
perfect. Yeah, yeah. That. And there's a number of different use cases that you can kind of look at it. But yeah, in short, yep.
Yeah, and so AWS wants to be able to provide like what historically AWS is really good at providing the foundational building blocks to for your particular use case. And so when you were talking about Agent Core, that's where my head went. It's like it is the building blocks or the rector set of Gen AI. So it gives you the primitives, and then you can kind of build the agents based and give it the tools that you need, and then you can use a framework like Strands or like collaboration to orchestrate those and have those agents talk to each other. Maybe let's talk a little bit about the use case, because right here you're showing off a phone, but I think Sri, you were showing customer support use case. Is it the solution that you've developed is just demonstrative of the use case, but customers can use the code for other use cases. Is that right?
For
Yeah,
sure.
definitely. Yeah, they can use, they can customize the code because it's a publicly available code. So they can customize according to their use case.
So what would change in that code for a different use case if I didn't want to do customer support?
So I could take that. So to kind of back what I'm about to say here, you have this data tab where you can see the data sources that each of the agents have access to. So in this case, your order management agent would have access to the orders table to maybe inquire about a status of an order. Or let's say if they want to inquire about how many items we had of a specific type of product, they can inquire about inventory, maybe the quantity of the item, all the way down to, let's say, if they purchased some type of eyeglass or phone from our company, but they ran into some issues. Well, you have an agent that has access to frequently asked questions and a troubleshooting guide. So as you can kind of see, depending on the question that comes in, the main agent would be able to delegate tasks to the correct agent to then reach that data source to get the information it needs.
Yeah, got it. So like data is certainly the foundation of that of generative AI. So if you have the right data in the right place and it's orchestrated, then that's where you start. Get the right data, and then from there, you can start to customize maybe the tools that are available to the agent, maybe the context or the prompts that are available to the system prompts versus different things. So there's different ways that we can customize the sample code that we're providing, but certainly starts with data.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, I love that. And I like this idea of it being customizable, being able to fit different use cases. We have someone in the chat. It's actually the same person who asked that question. CJ the Pizza Man says, thank you for the answer. It's funny timing because they're working on rolling out an AI agent and they had Twitch on in the background. So I guess a question that I'll ask on CJ the Pizza Man's behalf is that you all you're solution creators. You just created the solution that can be customized. You obviously, as builders, probably reached some roadblocks and overcame them, and you learned some lessons while you were building out this solution. What advice would you give to our viewers and people who are going to be implementing this solution as they customize it? What are some lessons that you learned in the process?
Well, yeah,
you want to.
I stumped you on this one.
All right, mine'll be quick. I would say the number one thing is and we alluded to it, I think Todd mentioned it, is data. You want to start off with making sure that your data is ready for AI. So a lot of times, a lot of people are coming from like on-prem or monolithic, infrastructure, and they think, hey, take data as is and start using AI. You want to start off with your data, making sure it's ready for agentic AI or AI-based workload.
Yeah, I think I'll agree with Justin. And I want to add, of course, the most important things are the knowledge base, whatever the data LLM is trained, and the tools and data sources it is able to connect. We need to provide all the information to the LLMs, so that way actually the agents can perform at its best and also at scale as well.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So I've got one more question, and then I think we can start to wrap this up. You showed 3 different patterns of multi-agent, collaborate. How do I decide which one's the right one? I think you touched base a little bit customization, but I know that there's strands out there. There's Crew AI. There's all these other different orchestration platforms. How do I know which one's the right one?
Yeah, for example, if you're completely new to agentic AI and building agents, if you want to have only focus on the agent logic, you don't want to worry about any of their infrastructure, as I mentioned, you can actually use the managed service, Amazon Bedrock, multi-agent collaboration feature. And also with Amazon Bedrock Agent Core also, which is actually you can stay tuned for the updates on this guidance with Agent Core. Agent Core is a great service which has a number of services which actually can perform. You can actually easily build and deploy your agents very quickly at production scale as well. So that is Agent Core service.
Cool.
And the another one, LandGraph. I wanted to say either LandGraph or Crew AI. These are popular open source frameworks. If you are using your LandGraph and you are willing for LandGraph, then definitely you can actually use LandGraph pattern and you can deploy your multi-agent orchestration.
Cool. Very good.
Fantastic.
Okay, so where should folks go if they want to do this? Like if they want, hey, this is really cool. Where are you sending?
wanna
Where's the
implement
first
it,
place
where do
you're
I
sending
go?
them? Yeah.
Yeah, so you can actually check out the landing pages of our solutions library. If you go to aws.amazon.com/solutions, you can actually see multiple solutions and guidances available. As again, I just want to mention it's a single click deployment, production ready code. So you can actually try out and experiment and go ahead with your agentic AI journey.
Absolutely. Single click and production ready. It does not get better than that.
And we are here to help you do that. Reach out to Sri, reach out to me. We're both on the library team. We're here to help you do that. And Justin, you keep knocking out really sweet demos. I'm excited to see what you build.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you both so much for joining us.
Thanks for having
Thanks for
us.
having
See
us.
you next time.
Appreciate
Have
it.
a good weekend.
All right, you too.
So that's pretty cool. Todd, I'm jealous you get to work with such cool people making such cool solutions every day.
It really is a cool role within AWS. We get exposure to so many different types of use cases and customer challenges, and then we get to get really creative, and all of AWS is open to us to try to figure out how to solve for those challenges. So I've been on this team for 3 years now, and I've really enjoyed working with people like Sri and Justin. Always something cool. Hey, so Fiona, quick question.
Todd.
Have you heard of this survey that we like to do on this show?
Yeah, I've never heard of the survey. What's the survey, Todd?
There's this thing that we try to get people to do. It's
really
called a survey.
cool.
So we have a survey for the show. We deeply care about what you think about our programming, what we're talking about, what you want to hear about, what you think about this massive scar on my face that I got this weekend. Anything you want to drop, any comment you want to make, we want to know about it. And the first 100 folks with a builder ID will receive $20 in credits on
free
AWS.
money. I'm filling out the survey. Fill out that survey. All it's free money. $20.
$20 to deploy this solution and try it out.
Easy peasy. No, but we really do care a lot about, what your thoughts are on the show, what you'd like to see on the show, what you'd like to see less of, solutions that you'd like us to talk about, services and service teams that you'd like us to bring on. Because, we love having these conversations with you. We want to leave the floor open to you to get to ask the questions that you want to ask. And we just want to make it as fun and exciting for you as possible. So let us know how we can do that.
That's what we're here for. And
link in chat.
So we've got more programming. We're moving right along.
Thank
We've
goodness.
got another segment for you. One of my all-time favorite segments since I've started hosting this show. Lee, we are going to bring on Jeff Barr with the news. Are we ready?
Let's do it.
The Eagle has landed.
Todd, Fiona, great to see you both.
Mr. Jeff Barr, welcome to the show again. Good to see that looks like maybe you're back in where you belong in the United States. I know you're traveling a lot.
I'm back in my HQ1. We just had our home inspection this morning, and we're ready to actually move back in. So after a year of construction, our house is now put back together.
Wow, that must be a relief. Those things always take longer than you anticipate they will.
They totally do.
So Jeff, you redid a basement? Is that what it was?
No, we redid the entire main floor. I want to say down to the studs, except when we got all the stuff ripped out and we saw the studs, the house has been through so many renovations over the years that some of the studs were kind of like Swiss cheese. Well, one more wire, one more pipe, just drill one more hole. To the point where I was kind of mystified as to why the house hadn't actually fallen down.
How have I survived in this?
So we're redoing our basement right now, and man, I'm not looking forward to. Hopefully, it goes smoothly, but we'll see.
We had a great contractor and it went well, but our contractor just worked at his own pace. So he was very much a perfectionist about things. So someone told me I'm supposed to bring the latest buzz to the show. So I just did, but I'm not quite sure.
Nicely done. Nicely done.
I don't know. You guys said I want buzz. So there was buzz.
We did.
Anyway. So let's see. I'm freshly back from Romania and Bulgaria. Had a really fun time there at AWS and Amazon events. We did an Amazon event in Romania to celebrate the 20-year anniversary of our dev centers in Bucharest and Iași. We had two great dev centers there, and lots of cool tech that we talk about on the show is built by really skilled devs in Romania. So we did that, and then I hopped over to Bulgaria and we did an AWS meetup on a Friday night, and then flew home, and I was back home by noon on Saturday. It was a really, really busy week last week.
Around the world and back.
Yeah, and I'm off to London tomorrow. So
I still think one of our segments should be Where in the World is
Jeff?
Yeah.
We'll have the cool theme song.
The funny thing is, I didn't want to be quite this jam-packed, but what sometimes happens is you get invites way ahead of time with a very non-specific time frame of like next year or some particular month or quarter, and you say, sure, I'll do that. And when the resolution actually improves to the point where you actually know when it is, you end up with a very action-packed schedule, like more than you'd like sometimes.
Yeah, it's always how it goes. It's the overcommitting, and then the commitment arrives, and you're like, oh, now I need to fly across the world.
You know, the future always feels like it's made up of longer days than the present is, because like the future always feels like, wow, there's so much time out in the future, but then you get to the future, or the future gets to us, and it's like it's the same length of days as before. So it's some weird paradox.
I love that too. Now I'm thinking of a new segment, Words of Wisdom with Jeff Barr. That is super wise. Sure. I experienced that too, just with like farm chores. Like we have so many goals for our homestead and for growing it into a farm, a fully production farm. And it's like, oh, we can do that. And then it's like, oh no, we're running. It's almost winter. Like we need to get some of this stuff done.
Yeah, each thing takes longer, but then I don't know about you, but whenever I walk from point A to B in my house, there's always a new thing that you see along the way.
Of course.
Like, I have to take care of this thing as well.
Yeah.
And you have to just be really disciplined to just put that on the list instead of just stacking
doing it immediately. Yeah, so we're talking about getting things done. So what has AWS recently gotten done, Jeff? What are you
Well, I got some pretty cool stuff this week. Let me see where my mouse is right here so I can actually scroll properly. All right, so the first cool thing is a really interesting addition to Q Developer. So if you don't know, Q Developer is this awesome Gen AI powered assistant that has all kinds of cool features for software devs. And you can get to either from the AWS Management Console or from your Slack or your team chat. And the really interesting thing is you can use it to help estimate costs for your AWS workloads with natural language. So you can do stuff like cost and performance trade-offs. You can set budgets. You can plan your spending. But you don't have to read docs or scroll through our tables. And I experimented with it a bit this morning. And you can do stuff like say, how much does RDS extended support cost? And it actually calls the pricing APIs. It kind of synthesizes an approach, decides how it would actually like to give the answer, and it says this is what it'll cost based on the year, like how far out of support you are and which database instance you're running. Or you could say another one I tried was estimate monthly cost to send 1 million SNS notifications via email, and that was cool. And then I tried a little more complicated one, and I was really impressed by this. I said, what is the least expensive EC2 instance, and how much would it cost to run for a year?
Ooh.
So, guesses on both of those.
T2 Micro.
Well, free tier is all where I lived for most of my career.
That's kind of a cheat code. I didn't even think of free tier. But
yeah.
That T2 Nano is my friend.
You're close. It was a T4G Nano.
Oh, T4G
$36.79 a month, which is like kind of cool to have like an entire computer for $38 a month, $37 a month. So we'll definitely to the what's new post for that. But yeah, it's pretty cheap, right? You can do that. But I love this idea that you can ask questions and it formulates a strategy, decides which services it wants to research, calls the APIs, mixes it all together in like a little bit of a salad, and then shakes it all up and gives you the right answer.
I love that. It's fun. It's like
I was gonna say, this is something that'd be really helpful for the work that I do in developing solutions that customers use, because we're almost always asked, what's the cost to run this solution? And I can say, hey, maybe I could use something like this to help me get a finer. Sorry, Fiona, what were you gonna say?
No, I was just going to say the same thing. I mean, I have my customers will ask me about a specific service and how to think about the pricing for it. And I think that sometimes when you're new to a service and you're not too familiar with the different components of it, it can be confusing to look through the different components of pricing as well. So it's nice that you can just ask the natural language question.
Yeah, especially when there's multiple options. When it's like instances and instance types and sizes and regions, and is it savings plan, or is it on demand, or is it spot? So yeah, lots and lots of.
Well, then a lot of things are usage based and consumption based. So now you're trying to estimate how much usage it's going to be. I mean, I've spent a lot of time in the pricing calculator for AWS. That's the traditional way of doing this, and now we've got cool new
just
tools.
by accident, I put on my pricing calculator hoodie this morning. So
look at that!
I see that. Nice.
I'm your remote teleprompter.
That's awesome.
All right, next cool thing. And so I have to admit, I actually didn't know too much about this service called the EC2 Image Builder. I'm sure I'd known it, but I didn't know a whole lot about it. But it's pretty cool. So it's this fully managed service, and it helps you to actually create, test, and distribute custom AMIs across all of your AWS infrastructure. So you can start with a base AMI, and then you build these recipes that say, take some of this and some of this and some of this, and put it all together, and make effectively like kind of a golden disk, a golden AMI, if you will. And it also helps with all the lifecycle management. And so it helps to keep everything secure and up to date. And what you do is you make this recipe, and you can either say, run it like on every Monday, or run it every week, or you can invoke it manually. And when you do this, it actually kicks off a whole pipeline of like, grab all the parts, lay them down on the AMI, run some tests, do some scans for security and so forth with Amazon Inspector. Or you can even you can have dependencies, and you can say, well, this image depends on, let's say, this version of Python and this database adapter and this AI model. You can feed all those into the image builder, and it will monitor all those things and say, okay, every time one of them gets a new version, it'll just go and grab it and kick off the pipeline for actually building the new image. And then it can help you like scatter them across regions and accounts. So that none of this is actually new. That's a funny thing. And I didn't even know about most of this. But the cool thing is so it does this whole pipeline of grabbing stuff and putting it together and testing and so forth. Now we give you more control of the pipeline execution, and make sure like if it's having if some error pops up in the process, it will actually give you the ability to like disable the pipeline if the error keeps recurring, and some better support for actually logging what happens. So if you're building these images and you're scattering them across your whole organization, better control the process and better logs is all cool. So we'll drop a what's new link to that one as well.
Nice. I like automation.
I never knew about that service, but definitely a nice building block, as they would say, right?
A nice building. Very nice.
Nice. Hey, Jeff, we got just a few more minutes. Any other news?
Yeah. Okay. The next cool thing is we have an MCP server for Amazon Bedrock Agent Core. So MCP servers are invoked by your coding assistant, and they basically return a whole bunch of help, like information to help your coding assistant help you to do a better job. So this particular one helps you to build agent-based apps with Amazon Bedrock Agent Core. And we have actually a whole bunch of these different MCP servers. They're all open source, and if you want, you can actually go to the GitHub repo, open them up, and take a look inside. And they're actually pretty simple things. When you hear MCP server, you might think it's something pretty complicated, but there's a bit of a framework there, and it really goes out and it looks for some docs and it does some relevance, and it basically returns a bunch of pointers to various docs. And so the whole idea of an MCP server is really, really cool. You open it up and look inside, it's like, it's kind of just a documentation server. So, but I think the real magic is the fact that it's a module, and that the coding assistants are really, really smart about how they can actually use them.
Yeah, I know MCP is a hot topic and a relevant topic for today's session and in Agentic AI. It's one of those ways that you can give the tooling to your agent. And we actually have a guidance on the Solutions Library on how to run your own MCP server in your own AWS account. So that's something worth checking out if you're interested in that too. If you want to build your own, but certainly check out the Amazon Bedrock Agent Core MCP server. That's I'll be looking at that later.
Yeah, absolutely. My customers are really interested in learning about MCP right now. And this is something I just talked to some of my customers about. They love how it helps with scalability and that it really allows you to more easily connect with different tools and things that are going to help make your agents actually helpful, because then you don't have to think about different, mechanisms and standards for connecting to different resources.
Exactly. Yeah. Always something new and cool, right?
Alrighty, Jeff. Well, that's just about all the time we have.
My friend Woody was going to make an appearance too.
Of course. Hey, Woody.
That Buzz get on the screen, but
CJ the Pizza Man's on to us.
I just happen to have both Buzz and Woody on my desktop here, so
right, and some Legos behind you as well.
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
Well,
Jeff, it's an honor. Thank you so much for joining us and keeping us in the know and alerting us to the latest buzz of AWS. And
anytime. I won't be around next week, but I think the week after, I think I'm around. I don't even quite know. So
I think
we shall see. Keep up the great work. We'll see you all again sometime soon.
Cool.
Amazing.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.
Have a good weekend.
Oh no, Rachel has a great question that that Jeff just left right before.
Oh no, let's get in the chat.
In tech, we love automation, but customers / a lot of people find automation scary / not cool. If I could ask Jeff how he would answer talk to not being scared of it, what would he say? And we've got Jeff in the chat, and I think that we might be able to convince him to give you a bit of an answer. So no worries, Rachel, about asking it early. It's always good to ask a question. So thanks for putting that in there. We'll work to get you a good answer.
That's right. Okay, we've got more show. We're not done yet. That was just the news.
It's absolutely not over.
Now we're on to our next segment, and we're going to learn how to build AI-powered text-to-SQL chatbots. We're keeping with the agentic theme here. So let's bring on our next guest, Fiona.
Let's do it. Hello and good afternoon. Thank you both so much for being here with us. So we're on the topic of AI and agentic AI, and it sounds like you might have something to talk to us about today to kind of fit a little bit into this theme. So we've got two great people here to talk to you all in chat, and I will go ahead and let you both introduce yourselves, and maybe starting with Frank.
Yeah, hi everyone. Thanks so much for having us today. My name is Frank Delizzati. I'm a senior solutions architect supporting our independent software vendor customers or ISVs. And ISVs are typically managed service offerings or SaaS platforms that run on AWS, and we help those customers design and architect their solutions on top of AWS.
Awesome.
SaaS. Archana, welcome.
Hi, hello everyone. I'm Archana Srinivasan. I'm a senior technical account manager at AWS, and what it means is I provide strategic technical guidance for ISPs, just like Frank, and I operate with their workloads. I help them build them efficiently on AWS Cloud, and I'm excited for this discussion today.
I love it. So you are both here on behalf of the customer. You're building solutions because of what you're learning about customers, what they're wanting to build, the problems that they're facing along the way as they're starting to build. And today specifically, we're talking about text-to-SQL. Text-to-SQL. Is it SQL or SQL? What would you both say? But tell us, why is that what you've built, and why have customers told you that it's something that's important to them?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, Fiona. So we started off with a simple customer problem statement, right? Like I said, Frank and I, we work in the field. We have come across different industry segments and organizations that face this technical hurdle of being able to get the data insights from their structured data. And now we all know that industries are sitting on top of this plethora of data or information. And there is a growing demand for the data insights, which just outpaces their SQL expertise. So as a business user, people they belong to different segments, and they become frustrated because there's delays in accessing their own data that they own, but they're not able to effectively access them because they either do not know the data structure, they don't know the syntax for queries, and so on, right? And if you really think from an executive's perspective, it is a competitive disadvantage on not being able to act on the data that makes strategic decisions for their organizations. So we thought we should solve this as a team and remove these access barriers, so to speak.
Yeah, so we got some folks in chat saying it's SQL. You mean you guys don't say structured query language every time? That's what I
Say
say.
it every time.
And SQL is one of those interesting things because it's one of those things you think you know, and then you meet somebody who really
And they
knows
say
it,
it
and
the
you're
other
like,
way.
well, no, I'm just saying you meet somebody who really knows SQL, and you're like, oh, I know nothing about SQL. So it can get very complicated when you start talking about different syntax and different ways to query data from
Right. I'm
databases.
doing the select stars. I'm grabbing it all.
That's where I live. Select star, no joints, no CTEs or anything like that. But so it's challenging for people to especially if you're on the business side of things to really know the technical side of how to get access to the data. And I know text-to-SQL is kind of like an early agent AI thing. I want to be able to ask questions in natural language and convert that to SQL. I almost did it again, structured query language. So maybe talk about how you approached this challenge and why it might be different from some of the other text to SQL things you might see out there.
Yeah, sure. So the value proposition really of our solution is that we wanted to democratize data access, like I said, and there are different solutions available out there in market. So we wanted to really solve this particular problem of standard, structure of the database. That's the target. So we picked up PostgreSQL as our database so that we can tackle all the structured database problems. And the real thing is the time to insight has to be reduced, right? Because like I said, we have executors that is waiting on this data for a couple of weeks to several weeks to react on that data. So we wanted to reduce that time to insight. And additionally, we are also hearing from the technical teams that they are supposed to run these routine queries, right? Instead, they could be focusing their work on some strategic tasks. So we wanted our solution to be really focused on this structured data set, and that's how we started working on text-to-SQL for the structured database function.
And
I love that.
And just to briefly expand on that, I think we talked earlier about AI agents orchestrating workflows. This is really focused on building your data strategy for your AI agent layers on top of it to consume from your data safely and securely. So that's another problem that we were trying to solve. We expose the service as an API so other agents or AI applications can integrate with it seamlessly.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's awesome. I really do see the value prop that you're saying that customers have presented for you here. And it's basically that, some people, there might be a small number of people who are, like Todd said, really proficient at SQL, and they can grab and do anything. And these people are also kind of maybe wasting their time doing these like weekly or monthly, whatever these iterative pulls are to grab and present data to the people who are making the big decisions and wanting to act upon them. So you've created a way for even someone who's never taken database 101 and learned how to use SQL, they can interact with that database with the structured query language, the structured data sources, and grab what they need. So tell us, as you were approaching this problem from a technical standpoint, where did you get started?
Yeah, and I kind of want to see it live too. So like I'm getting itchy for the
Me
demo.
too.
So like maybe that's a question we can talk about as you pull it up.
Let's dive on in.
There it is.
Yeah. That's the beautiful architecture diagram Frank had created for us. So I'll sort of do justice in terms of explaining what is going on here. It is as simple as it looks. So the API is the front end where the user is sending the prompts. So we have a logic, which is the text-to-SQL function that you see on the screen. It helps us determine if the user is submitting a same or similar prompt. So we are using semantic caching behind the scenes on memory to be. So it's slightly different from our traditional caching mechanism in the sense that even if like a customer or a user is submitting the same or similar query to the database, it is now able to differentiate or understand the intent of the user, so to speak, right? Like that's the most critical part of this solution, because we don't want the user to reach out to the LLM every time. That way we reduce the number of LLM calls as well. And we also use the database because we have to provide the LLM with the tag, which is the table augmented generation, to get some information about the tables and columns, so that when it generates the response, it is in complete control of what it is doing. It understands the data structure behind the scenes so that it is able to generate the SQL responses for us in a very precise manner, right? And then once the first request is made to the Bedrock using this table augmented generation, now the Bedrock responds back to us with a SQL query or a SQL query. So the function now takes this SQL query and it invokes the query against the PostgreSQL database using a role, because now we have to be very sure, because we are removing this access barriers to the user. We have to be sure that the data that we are dealing with is production data, and we have to ensure that we only provide select permissions for these different services that is interacting with the database, right? Then the function uses the query results to again prompt Bedrock for an interpretation of the results, because now you have the query results, but the user cannot interpret what is there from the results, right? They need to understand it in a natural language response. So we send it back to Bedrock so that it can provide a more user-friendly response that then the user can act on.
It's being translated twice, in and out. It has to be translated into and out of.
Yeah, you know, one of the things I love about these solutions and these samples that we publish is, as a developer, historically, I never really, it's not always the case that I needed the whole thing. Sometimes there's something really smart about a diagram that I'm like, oh, that's how you do that. And I'll rip that piece out. And it sounds like in this sample, that could be the caching strategy here. Like you have a really smart caching strategy. You also have a really cool use of PG vector and semantic indexing for the descriptions of the data. That might be something I could apply in other domains or in other use cases. And so I think that's a really clever thing about this. But I kind of want to see some actual NLP.
Action.
Yeah, I want to see SQL.
Yeah.
Wait, I had this question.
I want to SQL it.
If SQL is called SQL, what is natural language NLP?
NLP, yeah.
NLP? No, we'll work on that later. Maybe somebody in the chat has.
We'll come back to that one.
Yeah, let's see it. Yeah, let's see it.
So I'll pick things up for the demo just to get us oriented here on the architecture diagram. The dotted lines are not part of the core solution, but these are where we're going to pick up from the associated blog of stepping through how we set this up and then demo it ultimately. So we're going to first log into that Bastion host on the far right. Then we're going to populate the database with some data that we have that's based on the public domain. We wanted to use a real data set here for housing data just to make the demo feel real. So we already have that data from Kaggle that's downloaded as part of the blog steps and uploaded to an S3 bucket. We're going to pull down and load it into our database. And then we're going to index that data so that if we need to query the database, we can provide the LLM sufficient context to generate that SQL for us. So that's where we'll pick things up.
Okay. Ooh, I love me a good console demo, terminal demo.
Let's get into it.
So the first thing that we have a setup helper script that we have that comes with the solution, and that will give us the way that we can access our Bastion host to load the data. So all we need to do is copy and paste the output, I should say, of the command here.
Hey, Frank, you're saying Bastion host. For those that are maybe new to something like this, what is a Bastion host?
Bastion host is typically a hardened instance or a host that you access to have access to the resources that might be in your private subnets. So it has very limited, restricted capabilities, and you can log into that to actually do things like, in this case, load the database with some data. So it has.
Got it. So there are resources in my account. I don't want to expose them publicly to the internet. So I'm going to secure it by limiting the Bastion host to access those resources, and then I access the Bastion host. Is that
that's correct?
Fair translation. Okay, that's a text to Todd translation for you.
Or perfect. If you're Robert, who's in the chat, Robert Tables is saying Bastion hosts are things that people use and they don't know about SSM. Just saying.
Well, ironically, we're actually using SSM to access this instance, so that works.
It's lexicon. All right. Okay, so things are flying. What's happening now?
So what we're doing is we're installing some dependencies. As part of the blog, we just wanted to make it a little bit more interactive for the user. So we're installing some dependencies on the instance itself to access PostgreSQL, and then we're also installing some Python dependencies here so that we can load the database. The first thing, and then the next thing that we'll do from that is we're going to copy over that data set that I was mentioning for housing data into the instance so that we can load it onto the PostgreSQL server. Another interactive step that we have here, we didn't include it preloaded, but you can copy and paste the load the load script for Python here. And that's going to that includes the logic for us to say, go through each of the rows in the CSV and add it to the database.
Yeah,
perfect.
And I want to make sure you get to the cool reveal here, Frank. So we've got about 5 minutes left.
Bright and shiny.
We're seeing some data. Oh, I love.
So we're inserting this. We'll move away from this shortly. It's a little slightly distressing, but what we're seeing is we're adding rows to the database. The data set has 600,000 rows of data. So we're uploading that here. So I'll move off of this briefly, but that's just what's happening.
It's flipping through like a Rubik's Cube.
This is how I put myself to sleep at night. I just bulk load data and terminal prompts, and then I fall asleep.
So if you think back to the architecture diagram that Archana stepped through earlier, the first thing that we need to do is we need to generate the embeddings table, and that is going to give us access to database metadata or information about our database, the tables and columns and data types that are in there, so that when we generate a SQL statement for it, we can give that context to the LLM and Bedrock to give us that insight. So all we need to do is test this function, and it should just take a second. If I expand the details here, we'll actually see that we did create an embedding for this table specifically. Yeah. So now we can actually use semantic search to say through PG vector and say, what is information about this database table so that the LLM can effectively generate some good SQL for us.
Perfect.
So now before we actually open up the user interface, we're going to test our SQL function in the Lambda console. So I'll just go over to the text tab here. And since we're dealing with the housing data set here, I'm just going to introduce a really simple query. And this is the shape of the API that we're going to call. What are the top homes in San Francisco?
Okay.
I'll go ahead and scroll up and click test.
Test it.
What are the bottom homes in Pittsburgh? I'm sure. That's the next query.
Hey, Frank, while this is loading, we have a question from our half in the chat. It's saying, aren't all cloud hosted instances backdoored anyways? So what does public and private actually mean? You want to give them a quick little answer there?
Sure. So what we do is we put it in a subnet that doesn't have any access to the internet. Well, we do through a NAT gateway so that it can download updates onto the instance, but we don't give access to the database instance directly. So there is no way that we can actually log into to the instance other than with proper credentials that we have. So with this architecture, we're putting the database in a private subnet. We're making sure that we have it user controlled and that the users that we're accessing the database with only have a restricted set of permissions. For this text-to-SQL user specifically, we're actually making sure they only have select privileges on the database itself.
Yeah, nice. Okay, so we said this query, what are the top homes? This is the response.
So this is the response. In the body of the response, we actually have the LLM generated response, which is the interpretation of the data. And then we also have the raw query and the results there. So I don't think we mentioned it earlier, but we actually prompt the LLM to give us parameterized SQL as an additional security layer so that we're not actually creating a SQL statement fully. We're adding the parameters in so that the SQL engine can validate that we're not passing any SQL injection in there.
I was going to say, is that to prevent SQL? Yeah, got it.
Exactly. So the next thing that we're going to do, so we now know that our API is working. We're able to access the data in place, and we are going to go ahead and launch. So we've successfully imported the rows into the database, as we can see. And now we're going to go ahead and start and run our Streamlit application. So Streamlit is just a user interface. It can be any. As I mentioned, this is an API that we've built. So you can use any user interface or client that you'd like to interact with this data. But we're using Streamlit just for the purposes of this demo.
Frank, how quick can you make this happen? We have a minute left.
I can do it in 1 minute, I believe.
I just want to call out this comment because I love this comment. Freedom Llama says, "Where's the SQL to text LLM?" So that's your next project. Like, make this SQL statement make sense to me.
Got it. Very nice. I like that idea. So we'll do the inverse for the next on-air segment. But what I'm doing is I'm demonstrating a relatively complex query. What are the top homes in Washington where average square foot is above $700 and square foot is greater than 1,000? So this should generate a more complex SQL statement for me than just select star from my table. So we're going to look at some other columns and see if we can get some averages here. And as you can see, what returns is the interpretation of the results, the SQL results themselves, and the generated SQL query here for your reference.
Wow.
I love it. I love the transparency there that, you know, even though the person using this might not be a SQL pro, they could bring over their favorite SQL pro to give it a look, and they can actually see behind the scenes what the SQL query was.
Or as Kanath said, cool.
Cool.
Very cool.
Very cool.
All right. Hey, Frank, where do people go to learn more real quickly?
Sure. We have a GitHub repository with the solution code, and we also have a blog to walk you through the steps that I just performed today. And we'll share those in the chat.
Arshana, Frank, thank you for coming on. Can't wait to see what you do next. Have a good
Thanks
weekend.
so much for having us.
Thanks so much for
Thank
joining us.
you.
Thank you.
See ya. All right. Well, Todd, I have a feeling that everyone on the stream is getting a little sick of hearing you and I talking and interviewing people. I think we might want to hand it off to the next segment. What do you think?
I think that's wise.
They love them. It's the men, the myth, the legends of Repost Live. Let's bring them on.
Cool.
Hello there. Thank you, Todd and Fiona. I'm Stephen Heverin, your favorite TAM based out of sunny Philadelphia, and I'm joined by
Jay Bush. Did you hear Fiona say we were legends?
It's just,
Man.
confirmation, right?
I'll tell my wife later today. I'm Jay Bush, the hostess with the mostest. Stephen and I and our gaggle of friends are hosts of your favorite weekly show, Repost Live, where we take your questions, your concerns, all of the chatter from Repost. We dive deep. You and I, Stephen, right? We're the only ones on the internet. There's nobody else like us.
Yeah, absolutely. We're like your Rock'em Sock'em robots of AWS on air.
Like Ask Jeeves for AWS.
There you go. Wow, that's throwing it back. If you're just joining us today, be sure to take us. We've got a survey in the chat. First 100 respondents will get $20, $20 in AWS credits. So make sure you get that. Take those credits and go do some stuff. Build your own, text to SQL agent.
Yeah, that's a lot of agents,
AWS, right? Yeah, that's a lot of agents, right? You can get a lot of agents for $20. Or one Starbucks coffee or something like that, right? one specialty coffee. So yeah, we've had a lot kind of going on today, right? There's some really cool stuff. We're talking about some agents and things like that. Let's jump in to Repost. Let me pull this up here. And so what I wanted to hit on here was, and we just had that segment there, and I'm going to paste it in because my typing is just off today for a Friday. Where how to build a text to SQL chatbot, right? If you come over to Repost, you pop that in that question, right? I don't know about you or in the audience, right? Have you ever been handed something, a project or something to be done, and you're like, I haven't done that before. I haven't worked on that before. Where do I go? What do I do? How do I get up to speed? What do I need to do? Right. So you come over here to Repost and you say, hey, how do I build a text to SQL chatbot? Not only is it giving you some really good information here on the top, but what I want to call out here is we also give you sources and information. And one of the things it jumps up here is one of the blogs right here, if I can pull it up, that they were just demoing, right? That solution that they just demoed, that they just talked about, it pulled that information in, pulls information in from all over the AWS universe. And you can come in here and go right now, oh, great, I know how to do this. I can start working on this. But what I really like is it also gives you a really good outline here. If we scroll back up and, it's going to say, well, what do you want to do? Here's how you can start. It's going to give you some information and be like, okay, do you want to start with maybe the Converse API, or do you want to do a RAG-based solution? It's going to give you a couple different solutions. And I think, when I was looking before, a table augmented generation approach, that's a new one that I think it threw in from when I was looking at this before. It gives you the architecture, the stuff, the Legos that you want to use to put everything together. And, and is what I also like is it's, it'll step you through the implementation. And it also says, hey, here's some things you want to look at. Make sure you're looking at the security, right? Using the parameterized SQL queries, things like that to kind of prevent things like SQL injection and other types of stuff as you're building this chatbot out. So this is, and it walks you through all of these steps. I'm like, great, I know what I need to do. I can get started. I can get running right away. And if you want to, you can still come down here. You've got these other questions and stuff like that. One of the ones, let's see, we got one here. How to build a Gen AI chatbot for retail, right? So if you're in Well, if I can get to the right screen, there we go. So we've got this question from Sam where they're like, hey, I have this project and I have this, short demo. So if I'm trying to figure out what I want to do, they want to build this Gen AI chatbot, and it's like, hey, how can I do this as a demo or as a proof of concept? So I come in here, and from three of our experts in the repost community, they highlight over to this workshop where you can, it's a workshop that'll walk you through building that generative AI bot right through everything, walks you through the architecture, steps you through all that stuff. So just within a few minutes here, coming on to repost, I'm able to kind of get up to speed to, whether I'm talking about SQL, SQL, or structured query language, I can jump in and kind of get started right away on my project. What do you think about that, Jay?
Really would have helped me not write just such gross, expensive queries back in my day. Just a regular old select star guy,
Yeah, it would help me definitely have prevented some really big, not just expensive, but queries that never ended.
Bad.
That would just run and run and run until I crashed the system.
A bunch of them.
What do you got for us, Jay?
Data. All right, I'm talking agents. Have you heard of agents before, Stephen?
I've heard of secret agents.
Secret agents. Okay. Let me take you through a few items. I'm not a secret agent. I'm just a guy, but I want to take you through a few things. I want to start with maybe an under the radar announcement that we just made. I can kind of show you here right on my screen.
Okay.
One of the underrated items that
let's see if we can get your screen up here.
Oh, you have to.
Yeah. Oh, we got to do the little magic.
Yes. Okay. I've rubbed the magic genie. So speaking of agents, I didn't want to let this announcement go by, which was Quick Suite. Super cool. Gives you the ability to do a bunch of agentic application items. Effectively, you can bring some of your structured data that you may have had maybe in QuickSight and unstructured data that you might be familiar with leveraging tools like Q for Business. And now you get a single unified place where you can do that. You can do unified chat. You can do kind of specialized agents, all of it within one pane of glass, which is my favorite.
That's awesome. And we got a thing from Daily Push, DDN better than LLM. And is he making a reference to No, that wasn't it. I was going to say, I thought it was .NET Nuke. That's what I was thinking of when he said DDN. What's DDN?
I don't know. I DLM. You got too many IT acronyms.
Too many acronyms. You're gonna have to spell it out.
Yeah, write us and let us know what that is.
We'll let you know.
See if we can get it. In the interim, maybe you can ask QuickSuite.
Yes, go ahead and get there. Yeah.
So check out QuickSuite if you have not. If you're kind of starting your agentic journey and you want just like an easy approach or an easier approach, maybe more of a managed approach to start building some things, whether it be visualization or other items.
And this is something that's really got me excited with QuickSuite. I have to think about that because we had QuickSight, right?
Not to be confused with QuickSight.
Yeah, and it's now QuickSight is part of QuickSuite.
That is correct.
And there's all this other functionality that we've just launched and made available with these agents and things like that. And from what I've seen, you can make it super easy to kind of just get started to being able to look at your data and put agents against it, right?
Yeah, it can be a little daunting, a little intimidating for folks who are just getting started with, maybe some of these net new Gen AI capabilities. So maybe you're not full-fledged looking to go in and develop a swarm of agents or leverage one of the agentic patterns that we're releasing guidance on, right? Things like multi-agent collaboration or lane graph. Maybe I got some data in QuickSight today, and it sure would be nice if I could, develop more agentic or specialized agents or have some level of kind of unified chat over a bunch of my data and ask questions of my dashboards or of some of my unstructured data, right, in a single place. That's really where QuickSuite, I think, is going to be the sweet spot.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, you like that? Do you like that?
Yeah.
Anyway,
QuickSuite is the sweet spot. Nice.
For folks who maybe haven't seen, we're also announcing a bunch of guidance around agentic patterns, and there's too many to keep track of. But there's a number of really good documentation and materials out there, and even, Stephen, some really cool reference architectures that you can take a look at. I know earlier we covered this solutions library for the customer support agent, I believe, where you can maybe build an agent specialized for intelligent customer support purposes. And this gives you kind of some hands-on experience, but now you have kind of the code base. This is just like a very simple React application where you can kind of experiment with one of those agentic patterns, this being leveraging the supervisor agent and some of these sub agents to complete a task like what is Stephen mad about or something, you know.
I'm not mad about anything. You know what? I'd like to build an agent so that I can ask questions and query about the history of games, board games, video games, you know, get that specialized knowledge in there. And we got one more thing here. Debbie, our producer behind the scenes,
they're yanking us.
has been doing this. She says DDM is not a specific single AI model comparable to an LLM. Instead, it can refer to several concepts. So whether it's better depends on specific technologies, right? It's that standard IT answer. It depends whether it's better or not.
Right. Hey, which gets me to the repost point, Stephen, because we get a bunch of questions about agents and whether you're having issues with, you know, your specific agentic pattern, or I came across one that was specifically like, hey, I'm using a multi-agent collaboration pattern, but having an issue with my supervisor agent, and that could be related to, as our agent highlighted, like something wrong potentially with the orchestration prompt. It kind of depends which agent pattern to use. Kind of depends, and that's why we keep pumping out really good guidance for our customers to leverage, and that's why you have amazing platforms like Repost where you can ask ourselves and we can engage our specialists to get you some help.
So be sure to head over to Repost, join the community, take the survey and chat, get
like
$20,
come on,
and join that conversation over there. But I guess speaking of this, we need to bring somebody back. Bring two people back. Actually, do we need to do some magic to get Fiona and Todd back in here? We'll do the
wax on, wax off.
Ooh, it works.
There it works. Look at that.
Hello, you brought us back. Unfortunately, though, bringing us back is a sad thing. It means that the show is coming to an end, doesn't it? Oh, gosh.
It does.
Oh, no.
Man, this is sad. This is so sad.
It's game over.
Time to
go home.
I don't know.
Take my soccer ball and go home.
This happened to the last stream. Somebody is like muting me. I swear I'm not touching mute buttons.
Yeah,
anyway,
for sure. Someone's muting you. It's not you.
I did something, some agent somewhere. But I'm personally honored to be sharing the stage with two legends.
You've got little gremlins behind the scene there working.
Yeah, someone's behind him.
You.
I promise, Debbie, please, I'm not muting you. Are you messing with me? I'm telling you.
Todd is rookie.
Yes. Boo.
Hey, so I want to spread some more love for Repost, because this is something I use regularly as a even as a SA with you know, a lot of years of experience. I often run into things. I'm like, what the heck is this? And I go to Repost, and it almost always helps me get over whatever issue I'm having. So
we've got the answers.
I appreciate it.
We use it. I use it all the time. You know, every week I'm in there asking questions and helping with answers and things like that.
Well, so, it filters the data, that resolution so well,
pretty effectively.
Right. There's so much noise, right? Like in all these different chat forums, all these different things. I'm Googling stuff all the time, and I'm like, okay. And I go to Repost. I'm like, oh, that's how you do it. That's the command.
Right.
Okay, I got it.
Nice, quick, concise. Oh, this is what you're talking about, Todd. Here you go.
Yeah, it's also a nice part of the AWS community as well, is that like oftentimes people are having the same issues. They're coming across the same challenges as they're building. And so to be able to collaborate and come together and like get to solve these problems together, see what other people are experiencing, avoid the same issues that they've come across, it's a great part of the community.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I even go to look at stuff and go like, oh, that's cool. I didn't think about doing that.
Exactly.
Cool. That's my favorite comment today. Cool.
Yeah, I love that comment.
Hey, so we learned a little bit about agents today. I'm sure there's going to be, like, in this space, there's going to be so much more to come on agents and multi-agents and trying to keep up with it. So I'm sure Repost is going to be like hot in the future with more agentic information. But I think that's all we have for today. What do we want to leave the folks with?
I think we got to say, just follow us on air on Twitch. That's our main channel. Keep up to date. Come back next week. I'll be there with Jasmine. We'll be hosting again. So we hope to see you there.
Yeah, like that. I want to mention real quickly before we go. reInvent's coming up. If you have not signed up for reInvent, go
and we'll be there.
Register. We're all going to be there. It's going to
be there.
I think the tagline used to be, it's the biggest party in tech. Like, we're going to be at the biggest party in tech. So I want to see everybody there.
Yeah, come meet us. I'm a real boy. Come meet me.
I'm a human agent. I guess my name is Gizmo Guide, so you can.
Beep, boop, beep, boop, beep,
that's the only suggestion.
Stop by and say hello.